Having bought the RS4 thinking that it was a direct upgrade, and then finding out that it actually has almost half the payload of the RS2, but then also like the same capacity battery. They had 4 years to improve on this. I really didn't appreciate that because I just thought it was going to be a direct upgrade. DJI just released their new RS4 line of gimbals, which are meant to be paired with their LiDAR system for remote focusing on cinema cameras. This is great if you are a solo creator, and it seems like they're trying their best to create an ecosystem. Hey, how's it going? My name's Bryce. If you haven't been here before, I talk about filmmaking and cameras and just like stuff around that, I guess, the lifestyle of it. So for the past 4 years, I've actually been using the DJI RS2, and this thing is my beloved. I have used it on countless shoots. I shoot a lot of dancers and I shoot a lot of events. It has come in handy so many different ways. Even if I'm not using it as a movement gimbal, I still use it as a really low tripod, which is kind of hilarious. A lot of people laugh about me that I do that. And while there is nothing actually really wrong with this, I just really wanted to try out a new gimbal because it's been 4 years and there's a lot of really cool features on the RS4 that I wanted to check out. However, I have already found a few issues with the DJI RS4. I think that DJI is fully aware of these issues. Just let me explain. So here are the main reasons why I wanted to order the RS4 and why I think it's an upgrade from the RS2. Let me just say right off the bat, no, I don't think it's a worthwhile upgrade from the RS3. There's not enough there that is really justifying the price, unless you're able to sell your RS3 for around the same price, so you're not losing too much money. I would say the main one was the vertical mount, the ability to switch from horizontal to vertically very quickly, which is actually the main issue, which I will talk about soon. With the RS2, I had to order this extra piece that would allow you to shoot vertically, or you could just put a plate on the side of your camera to kind of like allow for that, but I just didn't like having a quick release plate on the side because that's where the grip is. It's either on the grip where it's like protruding and hurting my hand, or it's on the other side and not allowing you to plug in things to the camera. So it was a weird kind of workaround that I ended up just like convincing myself to buy it, but it was like 60 bucks. So I was like, okay, this seems ridiculous. But the RS4 kind of solves that with no extra pieces. You just have to take it out and then put it back on, which is nice. So the RS4 actually comes with a zoom motor or a focus motor, which is so sick. Being paired with the ability to have Bluetooth on this thing is actually like really nice, because there are so many times where I would bring the RS2 and I would forget the camera control cable, and then I wouldn't be able to control the camera. Like I wouldn't be able to press record. That was kind of annoying. It was just an extra piece that you had to remember. Having Bluetooth paired with the focus motor, I actually use it as a zoom motor so that I can zoom between like 17 and 28 millimeters or 24 and 70. It's really nice because a lot of the time when you're shooting, you kind of have to like, okay, let me just like hold it here and then zoom out. And then, okay, we're good. The RS4, all you have to do is just turn the rocker and it zooms in and out for you. And you're just like, all right, I'm ready to go. So I would say the overall theme of the RS4 being an upgrade for me is just quicker usability and I guess convenience. I love the locking mechanism. Like the RS2, it does have locks, but the locks on the RS4 are much higher quality. When you turn the gimbal off, it actually locks into the neutral position. It's kind of just like a nice, easier, more compact thing to carry around, you know what I mean? I love the kind of rugged exterior of the RS4. The RS2 kind of had this like carbon fiber feel, which is also nice. Like it's like a big upgrade from the regular Ronin S, which was just like metal. A huge one, which I did not expect, was being able to map the M button to a custom key on your camera. And I don't know if you can do this on the RS3. It is the best because I have it mapped to C1, I believe, on my A7S III, which turns on and off autofocus and then turns it on to manual focus. If I just want to lock in focus, I can just point it at the spot, get the focus, and then press the button, and then I'm in manual focus and I can start moving. Being able to keep your hands on the gimbal at all times, I think that's what DJI is trying to do. They want you to have more control over the camera, which I'd really appreciate. Just the overall size and feel of the buttons. The screen's a little bit bigger, it's brighter. I find the touch sensitivity works a little bit better. I really like that there's switches on the side that you can switch between the different modes. It just feels more smooth. I really appreciate that DJI is trying to make everything more seamless and easier and less steps to get from point A to point B. I like that the battery grip is smaller. It just makes the whole setup a lot smaller and lighter. And it does come with these new quick release plates that have this like anti-shifting thing. This kind of goes with the problem. They're not really expecting you to use it with a cage on. So I would have really appreciated the ability to have like extra little screws, which it only comes with one screw. You can't put two screws in because they kind of knock against each other. But I always have a cage on my camera, so I would really appreciate it if I would be able to put like two screws in so that it doesn't rotate if it's on the gimbal. But that's why they included this sort of anti-rotating plate thingy. Let's kind of get into the things that I actually noticed almost immediately right after unboxing the thing and trying it out. These are the things where I was like, oh, I'm really excited to use this, but then I was like, what? Let's just kind of talk about some of the little things that I noticed. And also, if you guys aren't subscribed, feel free to subscribe. If you like this content, subscribe, it helps me out a lot. Definitely leave a like down below because it'll help YouTube recommend this to other people. I noticed right away that yes, you do get the carrying case, which is nice. I noticed that the RS2 didn't really come with a lot of instructions. It comes with how to balance the gimbal, I guess, and how to put your camera on the gimbal. And I'm like, but then it doesn't really tell you anything about like how to properly operate the focus motor, where to plug it in properly, or like the settings. I kind of just had to figure it out myself, and it didn't take that long. If someone's just getting into using gimbals, it's gonna take them like hours to figure out how to use this stuff. I don't like when companies cripple their products and then kind of like encourage you to buy the more expensive thing. Because I have the RS2. When I bought the RS4, I sort of thought, okay, there's the regular RS line, and then there's the mini line, which is meant for smaller cameras, and then there's the pro line, which is meant for cinema cameras and bigger payloads. And then there's the RS line, which is meant for like a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? Like, but mostly mirrorless cameras. And that's why I have the RS2, because the RS2 has a 10-pound payload and a 12-hour battery life. Having bought the RS4 thinking that it was a direct upgrade, and then finding out that it actually has almost half the payload of the RS2, but then also like the same capacity battery, in like a span of 4 years. They had 4 years to improve on this. I really didn't appreciate that because I just thought it was gonna be a direct upgrade. You know what I mean? And now I feel like if I wanna get the same payload and capacity as my RS2, which is 4 years old, I have to buy the $1,300 RS4 Pro, which I don't need because I don't shoot on cinema cameras, I shoot on mirrorless cameras. And then this is kind of what leads into the main problem, which is the vertical mount. Immediately when I tried to set up the vertical mount, it didn't work. I don't know what it was, but the roll axis, the actual bar that goes across, I'm talking about this guy right here. So this one on the RS4 is not as long as this. It's almost like a centimeter shorter than the RS2. So when you switch over to vertical mode, if you have a cage on and you're using the included quick release plate, it doesn't work because this is not long enough and the quick release plate is too tall and it's causing it to tip over. So you have to go all the way to the very end. And then even when you go to the very end, it still is going to like tip over and not work properly. So because that happened, I was like, I don't understand, why isn't this working? This is like not a heavy payload. I have my 17 to 28 millimeter lens, which is like a very light lens. And then my Sony a7S III, which is a light camera. It's not heavy at all. I don't understand why this doesn't work. And so I had to take the regular quick release plate off, and then I had to use just like the Arca Swiss plate on the bottom of the cage, or I could also use the RS2 plate, which is half the size as the RS4 plate. So that was the only way I could get it to work. There was some weird workarounds, like the camera cage plate. I can't slide it in because it slides in from the opposite side. You have to take the vertical horizontal mount thing off and then mount the camera and then put it back on. It just kind of creates this extra step. When you put the camera cage on, it's not tall enough. One of the thumb screws actually hits the side of the cage and so you can't tighten it. Why wasn't this thought about? Like, why wasn't this considered? Why didn't they try it out with a cage on and be like, oh, shoot, this doesn't work, we have to adjust it. This is the funny thing, is that DJI is aware of this. Someone on Instagram saw my video and then they messaged me and said, hey, I also have the RS4, and I contacted DJI support and I asked them about this problem, and they told me that they were aware of it, and yet they still chose to release it. It's really annoying to me. I know that it's still usable and I can still mount it, and even when you mount it in vertical mode, you can't use the focus motor because it's on the bottom. And then it gets like, it hits the side and it throws off the weight. And like the gimbal doesn't even go high enough for you to compensate for that weight. What happened? I managed to figure out how to make the focus motor work. I had to attach it on the side of the cage so that it's on the top of the camera when I mount it in vertical mode. And this is really janky because you actually can't take it out of vertical mode and then put it into horizontal mode because then it's in the way. So every time I switch now, I have to take the zoom motor off and then take everything off and then replace it, which would take like 5 to 10 minutes to set up, just going from horizontal mode to vertical mode. Like, this was supposed to be a convenience, not an inconvenience. I don't want to buy the Pro. I'm like, maybe I could buy the RS3 Pro, but I don't want to downgrade. I kind of want the latest one just so that it can last me another 4 or 5 years. I don't know. Now I'm just kind of like in this weird place where I'm like, well, I have this quick release thing that makes it work for vertical mode. It's not going to be quick. Sure, it releases quick, but the setup is just going to take probably twice as long now. Yeah, I don't know. I'm in a weird place where I'm like, do I return this thing? I still have time on my return, or do I just put up with it? I really do enjoy the RS4. I think that the features that it comes with are a huge benefit from the Ronin S and the Ronin S2. I just don't think that they're a big enough upgrade from the RS3. So if you're coming from the RS3, maybe skip this generation because you already have a good gimbal, and I think that you'll be happy with it for a long time. At DJI, if you're watching, maybe hire me as a beta tester because I seem to be really good at finding problems in your products. And this isn't like a diss at DJI. I think that they make some of the highest quality products, and I know that they do care about creators. I'm not trying to draw you away from this product. I'm just trying to draw attention to a problem that I found right away, and which you will probably find too if you use this camera. But if you don't have a cage, then it's probably gonna work fine. You know what I mean? Except for you can't use the focus motor in vertical mode. So just be aware of that. All right, well, that's it. I am done ranting, and DJI probably hates me by now because I roasted their microphones, and now I'm roasting their gimbals. So I mean this out of love because I love these products. I just want them to work properly. Okay, I'm done. That's it.